5 years ago, I never thought it was possible to save £10,000 in a year, let alone 5 figures. So today's video is going to be different. It is going to talk about how I actually saved 6 figures in my mid-20s without cutting back on experiences or living below my means. And I didn't even realize I had that much saved until just recently when I checked my statements and realized I had actually saved more than I earned in the last year. It gave me so many insights into how to manage my finances in a way that made me feel good about my life decisions. One of those concepts was spend well to save easily. I love this idea because I'm a big believer in quality over quantity. I set up a standing order to transfer a set amount of money from my current account. I am a big believer in living in the moment and enjoying life, and I certainly do that. But I do think that it is important to automate your savings so that you don't even have to think about it. It's just something that happens in the background. Well, you start by setting clear goals and deadlines. You have so much energy and motivation and desire to explore and experience new things. But you also have student loans and credit card debt and a mortgage. So it can be hard to figure out how to balance having fun with being responsible. But I hope this video has given you some ideas about how you can save money without sacrificing your experiences. For example, if you want to save £1,000 in the next 6 months, you need to figure out how much you need to save each month to reach that goal. Then you need to make a plan and stick to it. It's also helpful to have an accountability partner, someone who can help you stay on track and motivated. Finally, you need to reward yourself for staying disciplined. When you reach your savings goal, treat yourself to something nice. That way you lines associate saving money with positive feelings, and it will become easier to maintain your discipline over time. If you want to save money, you have to make it automatic. Otherwise, you'll just find excuses not to do it. I also invest that money into stocks and shares, but that's a topic for another video. The secret to financial success is not making a lot of money. It's keeping it, and I couldn't agree more. Making money is hard enough as it is. So don't blow it all on things that don't matter. Spend well to save easily. Invest in yourself and your future and live in the moment without regrets. To my savings account every month without even thinking about it. And it wasn't visible because I didn't actually see the money. How to make £1,000 a month investing in stocks and shares. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. When I was in my 20s, I was obsessed with self-improvement. I read tons of books and listened to podcasts and went to seminars, and I learned a lot of lessons about discipline and how to use it to achieve my goals. And one of the most important things I learned was that discipline beats income every time. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you don't have the discipline to save it, it won't matter. But if you have the discipline to save a small amount of money every month, you will eventually become wealthy. It just disappeared from my current account and reappeared in my savings account. I never even looked at it, but after a while I realized I had saved so much money. I had literally hundreds of thousands of pounds in there just sitting and growing. And this concept essentially says that it is worth spending more money on things that bring you long-term happiness, like a nice mattress or a fancy sofa, because these are things you can enjoy for many years to come. But we shouldn't spend a lot of money on things that give us only a short burst of dopamine. You can either earn more money or spend less money. Both are valid approaches, but in my opinion, discipline is a lot more powerful than income. That's because once you've mastered the art of saving a small amount of money, you can pretty much apply that same discipline to other areas of your life and achieve anything you want. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's so true. Like that Gucci belt I bought or a random top I saw in Primark. You might wear that belt 3 or 4 times and then never again, and the top probably wouldn't fit right anyway. And it turns out we don't actually need that much stuff to be happy. We kind of just need the experience, and I've experienced this firsthand. And it was end by tracking my calories or packing my lunch or drinking tap water instead of bottled. I spend so much money on Ubers and taxes and entry and drinks. There's a difference between impulse spending and intentional spending. When you impulse spend, you're buying something you don't need in the moment just because it feels good. But when you spend intentionally, you're choosing to buy something because it aligns with your long-term goals and values. I think as humans, we're not very good at delaying gratification. We want the instant pleasure. But if we can resist the urge to impulse spend and instead spend intentionally, we'll end up with more money and more time and more happiness in the long run. And afterwards, I always feel exhausted and regretful and wonder why I had spent so much money on something that didn't even make me feel good. So I cut that out and started to do more chill things with friends like playing board games or going for hikes or having a movie marathon. And these became my favorite memories. They were free or very low cost, but they meant a lot more to me. This freed up a ton of money in my budget for things that mattered more to me, like experiencing new restaurants or taking spontaneous trips or booking a nicer hotel room. I worked hard, but I also played hard, and I'm still doing it. So here are some things that helped me save this crazy amount of money in my mid-20s. So I spent most of my 20s really figuring out who I am and trying new things, from traveling with my friends to getting into fitness and buying new clothes because I was really into fashion at the time. In fact, at one point I was wearing a full Gucci fit head to toe, investing in myself and taking advantage of opportunities. But as I mentioned, I also enjoyed life. So I went out with friends, traveled, and generally spent quite a lot. But this is where things get interesting. All of these experiences weren't adding up to me becoming any more financially stressed. I wasn't constantly thinking about money or feeling like I needed to track every single thing I bought down to the penny. And I knew this was because I had implemented one key concept, which came from a book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I was basically living the YOLO dream, but if I did have a dream, it was to buy a house with cash. I wanted to live in London and escape the rat race. So all the fun I was having was actually helping me gain skills and knowledge that would eventually help me make a lot more money later on. And I think this is really important to note because a lot of the advice on saving money online is targeted towards people who already have a fair bit of money saved and want to keep more of what they have. I was not in this category. I was broke, and then I got slightly less broke, and then I got a little bit less broke. I got there through traditional means of working hard, saving what I could. When I read this book, for example, I used to go out clubbing almost every weekend. Here's the thing, after realizing this, I created an automatic invisible savings system. Now, I'm not saying you should just save all your money. Another thing that helped me save a lot of money in my 20s was discipline. It sounds boring, but it's actually so important. There are two ways to approach saving money. So how do you develop the discipline to save money? Being in your 20s is such a unique time in life. I want to leave you with one final quote from The Psychology of Money. If you liked this video, check out my next one.